everybody. This is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com. And what I want to talk about today is Riot.JS because I've done some articles and some videos on Solid.js, and a lot of the comments I got saying, hey, if you like Solid, you should check out Riot.js. And in a sense, one way to put it is, my impression is that Riot is to Vue what Solid is to React. Which you can also say that like Preact is another one that's kind of like doing the same idea in the sense that they're creating this very lightweight, smaller version of a lot of the ideas in the library, on the idea that it's speed, simpler, etc. I haven't used Preact before, so I can't really speak to it much. I really liked Solid because I like the whole idea of like compiling like Svelte and the benefits of doing that. Let's see how Riot works, but you'll see that the syntax is a lot like Vue, which Vue was a lot like the old Angular.js days. So let's see here. So literally I have not tried this out yet, so you're trying it out with me. So let's see here, installation. You can install Riot via npm. You can bundle Riot. Is there like, okay, here, start from a template. Good. So let me just spin up a open folder. Let me just let's see here, and then let's make one for Riot. There we go. So there's my Visual Studio Code, and let me just read that direction again. npm init Riot, so we'll do that. And again, if you ever wondered how this whole npm init works, if you have a library called create something, so it's like create dash the library name, you can replace the create part with init. So if you create so essentially that means there's a library called create Riot. So if I go to npmjs.org or npmjs.com and I look up create Riot, that should be a thing. And see, there it is. So because the library has that name, when I do npm init, it implies the create dash. So that's how you see those npm inits work. Okay, so just in case you ever wanted to create your own sort of init library, where you can use that init command. Okay, so let's see here. npm init Riot. So let's open up a terminal. npm init Riot. Okie dokie, let's say, so we'll walk you through creating a package. Json only covers the most common items, just skip that. Okay, so it's basically, okay, it wants me to walk through the name, so we'll just say practice project. Doesn't matter, 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 doesn't matter. Is this okay? Sure. Now, oh cool, they have templates in different bundlers, so we can do it in parcel, roll up. Okay. I'm just going to do a Webpack project template. Okay, cool. So it actually builds the project in the folder. Okay. Practice project. Package JSON. Ooh, that's an ugly package JSON. There we go. Okay, so there's the Riot stuff. So yep, there. Good. Now let's take a look at the source folder. Okay, it's looking like the way I would expect it. Okay, so let's see here. Register global components, got it. Mount data Riot component. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff going on there. Register global components. Okay, I'm not going to worry about making sense of all that right now. Okay. Once you have wired up your application in your bundler, use your code. Might looks like this. So let's go to our HTML file. Let's see here. Index.html. There it is. So div is my component is sidebar. Actually, I should just run this. Package.json. Yeah, I'm going to assume npm starts the command I want. Nope, gotta do an npm install. do that. Okay, app Riot, so I guess this is a component, so it's just some HTML. Main.js, import Riot, okay. Now here's where we can see like an actual how component file looks like. See, it's just basically you have the component, and I see they wrap the component name at the top and bottom of the file. So it's very XML-y, but essentially here's the HTML, the template, then here's the JavaScript logic, and then theoretically you could have a style tag. Again, like Vue or like Svelte, if you ever used either of those. Okay, let's see here. You can interpolate variables using a single curly bracket, so that's going to be more like React and Svelte. And let's take a look here. So here, like Vue, what you do is you export an object. So if you ever use Vue, you export an object, and that object becomes sort of part of the context of what the component is rendered in. So in that case, any methods, variables, whatnot in that object are available. So in this case, we see here, we have like on before mount, so I imagine that's a lifecycle function. Like it's run before mount. This is a method called edit, a method called add, and a method called toggle. There should be a state. Where is state? If this state.text, but where's the state being defined? State.items.length. Oh, here we go. So on before mount, so I see here they're initializing the state here in this before mount. So we're saying state before the component gets rendered has two properties, items. Okay, and it's just basically the state is just a property on this exported object, just like in Vue, except in Vue it's called data, and you can manipulate it, and that's reactive. So that's probably has like a custom getter setter, and that's kind of how that works. Cool. So here's where the directives, I'm assuming, come in. You can specify preprocessor with type. Okay. Your component will be compiled with a selected preprocessor only if it was previously registered before. Mounting. Okay, so I see the I understand the API. I get that. These documents, I don't know. I don't find them super clear, but I'll be right back. Okay, so let's focus on just like making a component. Let's see here. So now that the npm is done, let's do the npm start. Okay, so here's your first Riot app. Good. Now let's take a look at how that was constructed. So this is my first Riot app. Let's go back and take a look at that again. Nope, not there. So this is the sidebar. Okay, and this is the main area. Got it. So that's my component. So let's find where these files are. Components. My component, my sidebar. Cool. My component, sidebar. Now what do these includes? User Riot. Okay, it's just another component. Now let's see if there's an extension for this. Riot.JS. I will do this one. Okay, that is installed. So let's see here. Does that make this easier to read now? My component. But I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I see. You see, it's my component and there. But let's create our own component. So let's create another. Well, first we have to create a folder so we can match the style of everything else. Another component. I'll use the kebab case. New file. My component.riot, I think it is. Well, not .rot. Rename Riot. Okay, let me see here. Yep, my component.riot. And essentially here we would just do my component. Okay, we'll just say that it's a div. h1. We'll put something in that h1 in a moment. Then here we'll have the script tag, script. And then here we'll have the export default. And then we'll have an object. And we will say state. Let me just take a look at the way the other one's set up. Okay, that one doesn't have any state, but the sidebar does. So let's take a look at the sidebar setup. So, okay, so it just sets up the state. That's easy enough. Okay. So state equals cheese Gouda. So then what I want to do is say here state dot cheese. Okay, and then let me just compare one more time. Just make sure that like when they use a state in the code, yep, they don't have to use this. Just like kind of like Vue, old school Angular. I get it. Okay, cool. So that's all set. And again, the syntax highlighting would be nice right now, but we'll deal. Oh, I did it in the right place. Except that I named the file wrong. Should be another component. Okay, so now that we have that, let's figure out how we mount this component. Okay, so let's head over to the, well, you can't really import this, the component here. So that must mean it must be doing it through here. All will be found on this page, data Riot component. So that must be done through, let's see where that's coming from. Register global components. That function's coming through here. Okay, so it must be everything in the global folder. Okay. I see. So if I go here, the way this is working, there's a register function. And we're saying, let's see how this is working. Okay, so this is grabbing the file path. So that's what that's doing, require context. So if I remember correctly, what this is doing, require.context, I think it's basically grabbing all the files in the global folder. So yeah, there's the regex, so it says give me all files that end in the Riot extension. Just make sure that my file does. So that has been registered. Okay, and then what this does is it exports this function, which global components at context.keys. Okay, so that's taking each file, getting the actual file, or getting the name of the file. This is here's connecting the path to the files, and then it's registering the name of the file. So we're saying this file because I think this is like parsing the file, making the component. So saying this component is connected to this, or this name is connected to this component, and it's returning this name, and I'm assuming it's generating the components from there. Okay, so bottom line is this: you can just use the components in the global folder, not have to think about it. Now the includes, let's see if we see an example of how the includes work somewhere. So I'm assuming, let's see here, that must be, I'm assuming the only one that actually has like more logic is here in the sidebar. So it's so here they import the user. Okay, so I see. So global components are ones that are just don't require any kind of importing. They're just global, they're usable. And then otherwise you can import components as needed from other components. Okay, I get it, I get it, I get it. Okay, well, it's still complaining about something, so let's take a look. Did not expect a type annotation here in my file, so let's go take a look. Where did I have a type annotation? Stay export default. Give me a file. Let's see here. 39 bytes. Okie dokie. Well, let's go compare. It's always the best way to do it. So let's Let's get rid of that. Let's go back to sidebar. Export default. What did I write under export default? Yeah, there's an object. Oh, goes the components. Well, I'm not importing any components. I'm not using any methods. So it would just be this property. And then everything is wrapped in a single thing. So I'm not seeing. Oh, I see here. Script is not spelled correctly. Does that fix it? Yep, that fixed it. Okay, cool. Okay, now let me go over here. Let's bind this component to another element. So we're gonna say, I'll put another div here, and we're gonna say the div is another component. Okay. And I'm assuming you have the right data Riot component, because I'm assuming what that is doing is that basically this is the app itself. Let's just see if I see it. Hello there. I don't see. I must have wrapped it in something else. Div. This div is inside of this div. That's that. This aside's there. So why is this not visible? Another component. Okay, so that's a prop. I see. That's just a class. Theoretically, it should be on the screen. That's my first Riot.JS app. So I should be seeing the word Gouda on there, but I'm not. So let's just keep thinking about this. Div is another component, data Riot component. Okay, another component dot Riot. And the oh, there's my mistake. This is still called my component. Another. Okay, so let's try that out again. Still. Oh, there it is. There's Gouda. Ha. Okay. Okay, so not too bad. It would take me some while getting used to this. You know, because I mean, most people are just used to just like mounting something in there. It's basically mounting like a div and then letting like this framework kind of take it from there. But here, what you can do is you start with a component, and then I could probably use another component, like other components, just by referring to them in under as a normal HTML in here. So I should be able to maybe do like my component, and let's see if that works. So let's refresh. Control-Shift-I. See if I see any errors. No. Let's see if I do a shift refresh. My component.riot. Oh, because there's no message. That's right. So it's not showing up. So let's go back to another component. Let's pass in a message. Message free. Okay, now let's see if we see it. And then, yep, there it is. Free. Okay. Cool. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty straightforward. I would say if you're someone who's already been using like Vue, Angular, whatnot, some of these patterns aren't necessarily going to be immediately recognizable, but you can keep it pretty simple. Again, you can just define all your, at least in the early stages, define all your components as global, and you can just use them. I get why this is the case, because it's like it's different when you're just like parsing the HTML file and over. So using sort of attributes to say, okay, hey, let me grab this element and replace it with this template over here is, you know, the path of least resistance. But I would say for a lot of people, that's become not what they're used to seeing. Everyone's kind of used to just being able to just like use their components like HTML, which is one of the reasons I like HTML. I mean, I like native web components. But of course, like the documentation says, then you have to deal with like these walled gardens, these shadow DOMs. But I like the shadow DOM. But that's Riot.JS. This is another framework that is currently actively being maintained for the purposes of like creating apps and whatnot. So now you've seen how it works. So again, simple and elegant component-based library. So this is meant to be sort of an alternative to React, Vue, Angular, etc. There was one other one that I read about yesterday. Get.generalassembly.com. Let's just see here. Oh no, that's not where I'm going. GitHub.com. Okay, and I was looking for Declarative UI library. If I spell things correctly. I think it's declarative. Yeah, there we go. So of course React, Unix terminal, blah 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 blah. Yeah, I think let me add the word component. There was another one that stood out somewhere, but it's not. I'm not finding it right now, but it should be in my list of things that I'm watching. So let's see your profile, repositories, stars. Let's see here. Recent activity. Explore. Let's go to my profile. Where's the stuff that I'm watching? Yeah, well. Not too worried about it. Declarative. I'll try it one more time. Declarative UI component framework, maybe. Yeah, let me just use the same term. It's on the front of the Riot.JS website. I'm pretty sure that's what I searched yesterday. I think that's what I searched. So there was Riot, yes. This one, Reef. Just looking at this one. This one's also one that's just been recently updated 11 days ago. That's always what I look for, like recent updates in the, at least within the last like 6 months. Get started with Reef. Yeah, this one's kind of similar. You just bring it through a script tag. You mount the template, and it works a lot like Vue, pretty much. That's just another one, so you're aware of it. Then of course there's all little random funny attempts that I made. So if you go to alexmercedcoder.com, and you go to my list of libraries, there's like Merced UI. These are all web component based, for the exception of a few. Like let's see here, web components. Mblocks is kind of trying to do the same thing without web components. I think Superfunk as well. There's a lot of different libraries I've written with different cool things. This is like this is, if you use React, this is a really cool React hooks library. Yeah, so some interesting stuff in there to explore. Okay, but otherwise, I will see you all later. I'll leave it at that. Have a great day and enjoy.